Oh my gosh, standing room only. See if I can excite you more than your TikTok. I couldn't hear what you said about my background, so I'll just go through it quickly. In 2005, I built the first virtual world in Second Life. So I've been in the metaverse for a while, was when I was at IBM. And after that, I worked as an executive producer at Microsoft, Xbox Studios, Dapper Labs, back when there was no Dapper Labs, and joined Mythical Games. So I'm here, I've got 3 slides. The first 2 slides are for the folks that don't know much about blockchain, and the third slide is for those builders in the audience that actually do know quite a bit about blockchain. So let's just see. Okay. I believe the power of Web3 is enabling the evolution of digital content. You've probably seen this slide before, but I want to have one different twist on it. The first thing is that Web 1, as we know, was about consuming content. Very different than what it was before. Web 2 was about creating content. And of course, this is where UGC was born. And of course, today, UGC is essentially the norm. This is the way we actually consume all content. It's been created. Web 3, as we all know, is about owning content. Now, the reason I think this is important, there's a continuum going on through here. And what is it providing to you individually and us collectively? It's increased freedom. You are now free to decide what you want to read, what you want to write, and what you want to own. It's very important. I think that's very powerful that Web3 is going to provide. It's inevitable. It's not if, it's inevitable. The next thing I want to emphasize is that Web3 is enabling a new kind of economy. And we use the word, of course, decentralized economy. Why is this important? I think it's far, far more important than NFTs. It's mostly about the economy that we're creating. Why is this important? Forever, we have been creating value and exchanging value, whether that's goods and services, a bag of potatoes being exchanged for fiat, or a gold coin. We've always been exchanging things. The difference with Web3 is we're now making this universally accessible. Why is that so? Because first of all, we're going to standardize this. We are creating standardized tokens, whether that's a cryptocurrency or an NFT. And of course, it's evolving. The notion of NFT is we're now tokenizing real world things. And then what's the corollary of how do we exchange it? Is smart contracts. So now we have a new means to create and exchange value. This is nothing different that's happened in the world. It's just much more elegant. And how we're doing this collectively, if you're builders, it's now accessible, it's global, and we're building a public computer. That was my first 2 slides. The second 2 slides, the last slide is one slide. And I've presented this last year, and it's evolved a little bit. When you think about the future of games, it's really difficult to talk about, because I use this quote, Web3 is like Darwinism on steroids. You either evolve really quickly or you get eliminated. So for me to talk about what you should do in the next month or quarter, it'll probably change. What I think is more valuable is guiding principles. If you're leading an organization, think about the principles that are going to guide the decisions that you make in your projects. Or if you're not, if you're an employee, you better look at the company's guiding principles, because you're going to tag along on those things. So the first one is this notion of being player first. Steve Jobs. Think of Amazon's consumer obsession. All of this is super important. As a product owner, you have usually 3 levers: the consumer, business, and technology. And you're always trying to maximize these 3 things. Today, we're mostly focused on business and technology. And people, I've listened to many presentations talking about how terrible the user design experience is. That's nothing new. I've been building software for 25 years, and we've had the same discussion for 25 years about improving UX. It's always going to have to get better. Unfortunately, it's a little bit, kludgy right now. This is super important because of 3 things. I want to unpack that a little bit. Earning trust. Right now, today, I don't know if we're actually earning trust. When you think about earning trust as a theme, you think about the long-term value that you provide to your community. Next guiding principle is the mass adoption. My lens here, I want to qualify, is about building a platform or a portfolio of games, not a one-hit wonder DApp. That could still apply here, but my lens has always been about a platform, large-scale execution. Blockchain today, in my opinion, has to be obfuscated. If you're on this four-sided piece of glass, my PC, or you pull out your phone, a four-sided piece of glass, nobody cares what's behind that. Do you actually question what technology is running the app that you're using right now? Nobody cares. From a consumer perspective, as a business owner, of course, back to the consumer, business, and technology, you care, but the average user doesn't. So that's why I say for mass adoption, we have to obfuscate blockchain. You can't, essentially, you don't want your users to know that too much. And this term progressive Web3, you can also think about it as progressively decentralized. Every decision that you make about your project, always try to decentralize. Right now, it's pretty common to build a walled garden. There'll be a new blockchain, a new token, and they've built an essential walled garden. They do that because brands want to control the experience, right? And you also want to control the marketplace, because if you follow marketplaces, there's a lot of discussion about royalties. But when you build your own walled garden, you can control that. But I would say every micro decision that you make, begin to decentralize that. It helps drive ownership, which, back to my first two slides, people want freedom, people want ownership. We want to build a public computer, make decisions that are making your project or projects more decentralized. And the last thing is around being ecosystem friendly. If we don't establish standards that are global, this won't take off, but it will be inevitable that we will have to establish those standards. So when you build a thing, again, this is guiding principles for the projects that you're working on, think about being ecosystem friendly. And the second last one is around network effects, and I'm going to read it because this is a mission that when I was at EA, I was working on the network strategy for EA, and the challenge at EA is every individual game is driven by metrics to support the success of their game, and they don't lift their head and say, how do we think about it in terms of a network? And the mission that I had at EA was to curate every player's journey in a connected online ecosystem. And the notion of curation means personalization. So when you curate, you personalize that experience. Is that today in Web3 and a lot of the experiences? No. But again, these are guiding principles of how you should think about your portfolio of games, or if you're building a game, how to work with other games to think about curation. Case in point, people that play NFL, the game, the console game, don't want to play another sports game. They actually want to play a first-person shooter game. People that play FIFA don't necessarily want to play another sports game. They want to play a strategy game. So you have to think about the relationship between your game and other types of game and build a network, work on network effects. Last one. Scale. If you're small or large, especially as you get mid-sized, you have to think about scaling your organization and making key decisions. Again, because my perspective is around a portfolio and a platform, every decision of a new feature, we think about how it will impact multiple games, not just your game. So those are the 6 guiding principles. I want to keep it short and sweet. And if I had time, I was going to address one important thing. I keep hearing this term, play to earn, play and earn. There's my minute. Good, I'm going to get this out. At EA, there were 4 key moments, touch points, by which players had major use cases. And we called it find, get, play, and grow. Those are the 4 moments of truth where a player came to experience your game. Find the game, get the game, play the game, and grow. Today, we're not even measuring some of these important things. I would add a 5th, which is exchange, meaning you play the game and you exchange your asset. So the reason why this is important is it's not just play and earn. All these 5 pillars are important, and the important thing is they're not sequential. You can actually, your players can enter in any one of those points. Okay, that's the end. If you want to learn more in this super tiny text that you can't read at all, I'm pointing the wrong way, Daniel Frank on LinkedIn, reach out, and I'll be right over here after the talk if you want to chat some more. Thank you so much.